Kilotrained podcast, episode 3. We've got Jenny Easler and McKenzie Wierda on the episode today. With Jenny, we talk about training for health and her weight loss journey. And with Mac, we discuss training for competition and his experience at Kilo 2. They are two of the most disciplined people we've had on here, and they have an incredible mindset in regards to worrying about themselves instead of comparing themselves to each other or to others. And episode 3 is brought to you by Old 218 Tap.
Old 218 Tap is located only minutes south of Iowa City in Hills, Iowa. It's a hometown restaurant feel right outside of the city. Best tenderloins and burgers in the area, has great daily lunch and dinner specials. You can go follow them and check them on Facebook and Instagram. Handles are Old 218 Tap.
And we're on. All right, Jenny, you want to give us a little background about yourself?
Sure. My name's Jenny. I'm 54 years old. I'm a nurse I work at the University of Iowa. Been here for a couple of years now. I moved from Davenport, lived there my whole life. Got 2 boys, 24 and 19, single.
So you made your way to CrossFit Kilo 2 earlier this year in 2019. It wasn't 2018, right? You were here pretty much earlier at the beginning of this year, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you were recommended to the gym by a couple friends, right?
Yeah, Elaine and Steve.
Uh-huh. And you work with Elaine at the hospital?
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct. We work in the same department.
So they had been doing CrossFit for quite a while, and you hadn't really ever done it before, and then they brought you to the gym one day. Can you tell us about that experience you had?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I did do CrossFit for like a couple of weeks before that, but I was training for a marathon.
Oh.
So I was more focused on running and didn't really go to the gym that much. That's how I met Elaine and Steve really at the gym, and then I started working with Elaine at the hospital. So then I finished my marathon, and Elaine came to work one day and said, "Jenny, I went to a different gym. You ought to check it out. I think you'd love it." So I remember calling up and coming in to see you, and I guess I didn't know what an evaluation meant because I came in my regular clothes. If you can remember that, I had my stinky feet. It was so embarrassing. But anyway, yeah, that's how I got to the gym, was Elaine telling me how she had been there a couple weeks and how she just loved it, and the atmosphere was really good and everyone was really welcoming at the gym, and she thought it would be a good place for me to come back and get more into CrossFit.
Cool. Yeah, I don't remember the consultation that we had because I've done quite a few since you joined, but it sounds like you remember it quite well.
Oh yeah.
So what were the first couple classes like for you? What did you think? Like, how was that transition into the new gym at CrossFit Kilo 2?
It was a little intimidating because I had done some research on CrossFit Kilo 2. My sister's from California. She's really into CrossFit. So she had checked your gym out too, because I had called her and said, "Hey, I'm going to CrossFit Kilo 2. Can you check that out for me?" So she had checked it out and said, "Hey, there's a lot of really like top athletes that come out of that gym." So I was kind of intimidated when I got there. I wasn't sure if that was really going to be the place for me because I really didn't know anything about it. But it wasn't intimidating when I got there because everyone was so welcoming, and I felt like it was an environment that I could learn from, even just with the little PVC pipe to actually lifting the bar up and then actually putting some weight on it. I felt like the transition from when I started to where I am now was really welcoming and easy to get into, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the progress that you've made in your short time at CrossFit Kilo 2 has definitely been inspiring, and it's also good to know that you did feel like you fit in after the first couple of sessions, because we definitely get that a lot. I would say, as a coaching staff, we'll get some new people who are thinking about signing up that, come in to check the gym out, but they're hesitant, thinking that, that it might be, too intimidating, which we understand where people are coming from, but it's just nice to know that, once people do give it a shot, that it is a fun environment to be in.
Yeah, I think a lot of people put judgment from others onto themselves, where they just assume everyone else is judging them, when really, like, we have a ton of new people. You get everyone so worried about themselves and what they have to do, and like everyone's new, doesn't really know what's going on. So I think people just come in and just assume that judgment when it's really not even happening. So did you feel like you had any issues with that, where you felt like other people were judging you, or you were worried about what you looked like when you were working out?
I think everybody probably worries about what they look like, but I don't ever feel like I was judged by anyone. I feel really like I was more encouraged. Because look, it seems like people at the gym will kind of maybe not that they're watching to see if you're struggling, but if they notice that you are, they're really encouraging, and they'll come over and say, hey, try this, and maybe if you squatted down a little bit more, or just step back and take a breath, you can do it. There's a lot of encouragement from the other members, which I like a lot, and of course from the coaches.
Yeah, that's one thing I try to also tell new people is people are usually in the middle of a workout, right? So they don't really think about anybody else because they're in the middle of a workout, they're tired, they're focusing on their reps, and it's like, okay, if you put that in perspective, it's like, well, I guess no one really has time to watch me because they're all, kind of consumed by their workout and the challenges that they have for themselves. So before you started CrossFit, you had made health and wellness a priority. When did that start for you?
I think it really started when I got a divorce, because I was, supporting just my 2 boys. It was just me. So I started to think of what would happen if I wasn't around. So I really started to focus on myself. And I just really started looking into ways to get healthier. I tried everything. I mean, every diet out there known to man, I've tried it. And then I just started running, really started walking from square to square. And then I started running. And then I realized as I was running and getting more fit and starting to really focus on what I was eating. I'm not really a macro counter, I guess. I just portion my food out, make sure I get a lot of protein, drink a lot of water. But I really just was focused on feeding my body so I could perform better and live longer for my kids, really.
And for background, what was your baseline when you started this, like for people that don't know?
Oh, when I first started, like my weight loss journey or just my health journey, I was living large. I weighed like 260 pounds, I think was my highest weight. I lost 98 pounds.
Amazing.
And so what I really have noticed by incorporating CrossFit into my regimen is that I'm now putting on muscle. And I mean, I don't look like I want to look, but I do know that I'm noticing like, hey, there's muscles where it wasn't there before. And I've got a lot of endurance now. I'm not the fastest runner, but I noticed that adding CrossFit into my regimen when I'm running, I can run farther. I still am slow, but my breathing's a lot better, my endurance is a lot better, and I feel a lot better afterwards. And I really, give credit to CrossFit for that because it's made me a stronger all the way around. And I like to call myself an athlete now because you guys call us athletes in the gym.
Yeah,
So
I think
cool.
the best terminology is we say we're training because that emphasizes that you're reaching towards a goal instead of just going in and getting a workout in. You're training. So everyone should always have a goal. Otherwise, it's kind of just a mindless deal we have going on. And there's always progress you can have going on. I guess, where did you first start? Like when you started your journey, where were you getting your info from before you entered the gym?
When I first started in Davenport, I went to Planet Fitness, the no judgment zone. That's why I really went there, because I felt comfortable, like I could go in there and no one really cared about what I was doing in there. But I did notice every year I went there, at the beginning of the year, I was always the same. And there was always these people that were coming in, and I'd be like, dang, why is she never changes. She's just always athletic looking, and here I come in every year and I'm still the same way. And I started to realize it was because she was dedicated. She was going to the gym all the time. I was kind of like the fair weather gym goer. Like I would go for a while and get really motivated, and then I would fall off the wagon. So I was more off the wagon than I was on the wagon. And I'm not really sure what happened with the mindset, but it was like about 4 years ago. I think it was really, like I said, getting divorced and knowing that I was the only one that my kids had to depend on at that point. So
yeah, as a coach, training you, Jenny, that's definitely one of the things I've noticed about you is your consistency and your discipline to continue to get into the gym even when you had a schedule change. And I think it was about a month ago, where you were usually coming in the PM session, 5:30 class every day with Elaine and Steve sometimes, and then when you had the schedule change, like, oh, Jenny's here at the 5:45 class, and here she is again and again, and knowing that you have the discipline to stay consistent is why you're still making great progress. And that's great that you found that answer for yourself.
right, and it was easy. What I worried about too with the transitioning from evening classes to day classes is sometimes you see in gyms where the day people are like maybe in your mindset, you think that that's where the athletes are, or that's where the dedicated people are. There's probably these cliques that have already formed. So you're going to be going into an atmosphere where you're not familiar with the people there. But I'm a seasoned individual. I mean, I'm in my 50s, and I'm really not into the clicky thing, but like Connie and Lisa there, they just like totally were like, oh, what's your name? And kind of just brought me into the group, which was really, it was really cool to see that I could come in and everybody was real nice. And
they're great to have in class. You know, Connie's at Hood and Lisa's there every single day, it seems like, and you know, it's good to have people who are consistently there too with you, and it just, you know, helps with accountability. But what also is important is that you found consistency with nutrition too, it sounds like.
Right.
And you mentioned that you weren't necessarily a macro counter, which is something that's good to bring up because, you know, we don't think that there's any one specific diet that's right for everybody. Macro counting is very popular for a lot of athletes out there, you know, people who are looking to put on muscle or lose weight, but for you it wasn't really your thing. What sort of things help you be consistent with nutrition?
I think it's just the way I feel, because I notice when I go off track, like I used to love to eat like a big bag of kettle cooked Cheetos and watch TV and not do anything, you know, and I notice like as long as I stay on my path, because I meal prep every Sunday, no matter what, it's my thing. I have to meal prep, because if I don't, then I'm going to be eating Cheetos and whatever garbage there is and feeling like crap. I don't want to feel like crap.
Right. There it is again. The discipline, staying on the path.
Discipline.
Every Sunday. It's great.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people just assume like the competitors, it's easy for them to not eat crap, whereas I would say it's just as hard. Like the thing for me is I try to not buy it, because if it's in the house, I'm gonna eat it just like anyone else.
Absolutely.
There's no difference. It's just a matter of, like you said, discipline of avoiding those foods in the store and not buying them. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Because everyone loves sweets, everyone loves salty stuff. It's just a matter of the discipline.
Mm-hmm. Every now and then I like to reward myself. I'd say once or twice a week with ice cream or anything. Do you ever reward yourself for doing like really good job? You met a goal this week. I'm gonna reward myself with this. Do you ever set goals like that?
What I try to do is just reward myself with maintaining my routine, because I haven't always been a routine follower, and I know the trap that I can get myself into if I do that. But I mean, occasionally if I do, you know, if I stay on task for a month or so, I will have a beer or something. But I'm pretty much routine wise, because
That's impressive. Good
I mean,
job.
Yeah.
I've lost 90 pounds before, I've lost 75 pounds before, so I've seen what happens to myself when I go backwards.
Yeah.
For some of the listeners that, to go in a little bit of detail with that weight loss, was that 90 pounds lost while your tenure at Kilo, or throughout when you decided, okay, now I'm gonna make the step towards losing weight, and maybe that was a year before Kilo? Was that, like, when did that take place? Was that like a year-long thing? Did it happen in 6, 7, 8 months?
It took me 9 months to lose that weight,
Okay.
but I was really stringent on that and carb cycled, and I was really focused on, I mean, like measuring everything. I was really kind of anal, I guess, about it. But
Did you lose that weight before Kilo?
before Kilo, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've
Okay.
maintained it for 3
Okay.
years. I'm on 3 years now maintaining that.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And were there times when you were losing the weight where you get stuck at a certain weight, or was it continuous?
Oh yeah, no, there was times where I would get stuck where I was like, oh God, something's not happening, and I was tweaking stuff and trying to figure out what works, and I was really big about diarying my food back then to see if I was maintaining, and then what was I eating that week, and then I would go back to what I did for the first, when I was losing weight. So I was kind of teetering back and forth with what I was doing with my meal planning and stuff.
Yeah, that part's important too. I know, whether it's with speaking with different clients or, you know, just talking to anybody in general about nutrition, you ask them, hey, what does a day in the life look like for your nutrition? Oh, it's pretty clean. You know, they'll say, I eat a chicken breast for lunch, this for dinner, you know, it all sounds great. And then you ask them to do what you said, take a food diary. And it's like, well, we kind of forgot about that glass of beer we had at night, you know, whether it was watching a football game, or we kind of forgot about that dessert that we had when we went out for someone's birthday party. And those little things kind of take you off the path of consistency that you're talking about.
Right. I mean, I do eat food. I just make better choices. I mean, I have sweets. I make fat bombs and things like that. I just try to make better choices with what I'm doing.
And has your mindset changed from when you do have those like little cheat meals, or whatever people want to call them, like from when you were first starting to like now?
Oh yeah, because when I first started, I wouldn't cheat no matter what. There was
No matter
nothing,
what.
because I didn't want to not be successful. Because I was like, again, I keep I'm going back to my kids, because I was trying to show them what can happen to you if you just stay strong and in a routine and if you set goals. And I didn't want to disappoint them. They were like I don't know how to say it, but I just didn't.
They were motivating.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
my motivation to
That's awesome.
just to do good and to show them if you make a decision to stick with it, no matter what the struggles that come along. So.
Yeah. When the motivation runs out, though, what do you go back to?
Oh yeah, because it does. I mean, so I just recently went back to school. I'm going back to school to get my bachelor's degree. So I work full-time days, and then I'm taking 9 hours online. So I'm not even going to class. I'm just doing online school.
So you're basically setting yourself a new goal.
Right. So, but I do get stressed. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I just have to talk myself off the ledge and remember what it's not worth it. Because I remember what I felt like when I was eating bad and not taking care of myself and going out every weekend and doing, drinking all the time and eating Cheetos, like I said. But it's just, I just don't want to feel that way. So.
And how has your new behavior influenced your kids?
My older boy just graduated and he just started a new job. My younger boy is in college, and they look to me like my younger boy just called and he's gonna step back at school, and he's like, I know I'm being a disappointment because you're working full time and you're going to school and you're doing all these things. I'll get back on track. But they just kind of look to me like they're proud of me, I guess I would say.
Really cool. Good stuff. So going back to some CrossFit now at the gym, what are your favorite workouts? Like, what do you like to do at the gym?
You know what? I pretty much like to do everything at the gym. I remember when I first walked in there, to the CrossFit gym, and I remember looking around, and then I found out Luke was going to be at the games, and I called my sister. I go, oh my God, my coach is going to be at the games. She's like, oh my God, we're going to go. That was the best experience, going to the games. That was fun. We're going to do that every year now. But
Awesome.
so you have this vision in your mind when you're walking in there, like, oh, I bet you I could go to the games someday. Okay, yeah, no, not really. I'm not going to go to the games, but realistically, I feel like I'm going to the games every time I go to the gym. And every time I add 5 more pounds onto the bar, and I actually do the move where it feels like I'm doing it right, and then I hear, hey Jenny, good job, you did that. Or I hear, like someone will say, one of the coaches will say, try this, and then I see them walking over, and I'm like, oh God, they're talking directly to me. And here they come, and they're trying to, but it's encouraging, and you feel like a winner every time you go to the gym and you make a new move, or you actually jump up on top of the box. I mean, you feel kind of like a bad, I was gonna say bad.
Well, you can let it out.
Oh, you kind of feel like a badass,
It's a
right?
kilo podcast.
You really do. You do. You feel like a badass. And then I leave the gym and I'm calling my sister, who's really a really big CrossFitter. I'm like, oh my God, you won't believe it. I jumped out of the box. Not once, not twice, but like 3 times. I felt like a badass. So.
Awesome.
Do you find yourself in the trap of comparing yourself to other members ever, or are you always focused on yourself and comparing yourself to?
I don't ever find myself comparing myself to them. I just find myself looking at them and having the desire to become like them.
Yeah, that's the right
versus
attitude.
like comparing myself to them.
Yeah, I think people,
That's important.
like especially just daily class members, get in the trap of thinking that, oh, I need to keep up with this person, let me just do RX today, when they're not really getting the correct stimulus and they're not performing the right technique and all that. And it sounds like you have the best attitude possible.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'll scale every day. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. Yeah, even though our workouts are, written to be a group workout, when we help people make workouts their own, I feel that if we have 10 people in class and everyone's doing maybe 10 different things and it all works for them in a better way, we're all for it as coaches, just because you're all different, your needs are different, you have different things going on in your lives, and it's good that you have that attitude to modify when needed to.
Right.
All right, well, do we have anything else for Jenny here?
I don't think so.
All right, well, thanks for coming on the podcast today, Jenny. It was a pleasure to have you, and keep up the hard work in the gym. It's great having you class, and you're very inspiring and motivating to everyone else alongside you, and to us coaches too.
You're so nice. Thank you very much. Thanks for what you guys do for us.
Yeah, one.
Again, episode 3 is brought to you by Old 218 Tap. Old 218 Tap is located only minutes south of Iowa City in Hills, Iowa. Has a home restaurant feel right outside of Iowa City. has some of the best tenderloins and burgers in the area. They have great daily lunch and dinner specials. You can go check them out and follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Handle is Old218Tap.
All right, we're into part 2 with McKenzie Wierda, aka Mac, aka Mac Daddy,
AKA Snack Daddy.
Mac Daddy for the ladies.
That's a new one I haven't heard.
That's me. So he's a coach at Kilo 2 as well. We've known him for a while, and yet we don't know him at all.
Not at all. I've lived with him for a while. And I still don't know him.
So Mac, let's get a little info for the people about your background. Like growing up, where'd you grow up? How'd you end up at Iowa?
Alright, so I've been around a bit. I was born in Missouri, then moved to California for a few years, and then I think when I was 5, I was here in Coralville for about 10 years. And then after freshman year, moved to Colorado, finished out high school there, and then I came back here, I guess 3.5 years ago for college. So.
Yeah, I remember, oh man, this was first couple of weeks probably of the gym being open, and there was this freshman who would arrive to the gym before I would. At 4:30 in the morning, I'd see him outside every single day. Didn't matter what the weather was, raining, snow, pitch dark. This kid would just be pacing back and forth in front of the door, just itching to get in the gym. I'm like, this guy is freaking dedicated. I love it. Freshman in college, unreal.
Yeah.
So how were those walks to the gym early in the morning? Like what was going through your head? Like you obviously found CrossFit Kilo 2. What were you doing before you found us? Because we opened the gym, well, we would have been open for business just before school started, but what were you doing prior to that?
You mean like here in Iowa City or just in general?
Yeah, in general training, like what were you doing before you found CrossFit Kilo 2?
So when I first got here for school or whatever, I just went to the rec center because I kind of Googled CrossFit. The only one was Willow Creek, which was like a 20-minute walk, which is too far.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd go like, I think the first couple of weeks, maybe 3, I'd go like Saturdays only and just kind of do some lifting, do the class while and come back. And then I think I saw you guys doing like a backwards run one day where I saw a bunch of people doing it outside. I was like, it's gotta be fucking CrossFit. Like no one else is that dumb. So I saw like garage. So I like re-googled it again. It's like, oh shit, they opened up. So then I just kind of walked in next Monday or something. Just like, hey, I want to sign up.
Well, I remember when he would come in that early. We'd have the class start up front, and you'd always be in the back corner doing whatever you're doing.
Oh yeah, you would just go find your little space.
Program. What were you doing? What was your programming then?
Yeah, fuck. I didn't have any real programming. I'd done some weightlifting when I was younger, and so when I got here, it wasn't a CrossFit gym, so I was like, okay, I'll get back into it. So I just kind of looked up a bunch of stuff about like some basic beginner templates from like Glenn Penley and like some Chinese weightlifting stuff, and just kind of like mashed it all together. And I just kind of did that at the rec center, and then when I started here, just like whatever, just keep doing it. So I just do it that morning, and then I think I came back in the afternoon for class walk, right? I think. You probably don't remember.
Did. Yeah.
You were pretty out of it most days back then.
Yeah, still am out of it from time to time, but so it sounds like you were, I mean, that's competitive stuff you're bringing up. I mean, you're talking about these competitive templates for weightlifting and just for more performance structure. So is that one of the reasons why you wanted to get into CrossFit?
Yeah, I've been like training, I guess, working out for a while, and I liked it, but it always sort of bothered me that there wasn't anything more to it. That's kind of why I played sports, so I didn't just like go to the gym and then not do anything.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, when I saw CrossFit, it was like training, and then you're basically just training to train, which is what I like, so that kind of was like, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so when did you start getting into our competitor programming?
Probably a couple months in, I think. I think you just kind of mentioned to me one day, like, hey, you should give our competitors programming a try. Austin, you did. And then I was like, all right, that sounds cool. Then I just kind of reminded you one day, it's like, oh yeah, just share it with me, and then just kind of started doing it.
I think that's a good topic we should dive into is we have some members right now wondering about when you should start competitor programming.
Yeah, and if competitor programming is even what's meant for you. I mean, sometimes we've had some more members come up in the recent past who are wanting just some more volume, some more training, and that doesn't mean they need to be doing what competitors are doing, because a lot of it can be high skill. Sometimes they just need more aerobic work on a true form runner, a bike, or a Concept 2 rower, just something a little extra than what the class might offer. But the competitor programming that we do, you know, it demands a lot out of you, and you need to definitely have your head screwed on right going into it, and you need to have the right intentions with it too. I mean,
And I think one of the issues is that when people join competitor programming, like at our gym or other gyms, is they automatically jump out of class.
yeah,
And Armin does a great job. It's always, at least the Metcon for the day is included in our programming, where people jump out of class, and like you and me, Austin and I are really busy throughout the day, so we don't really have a ton of extra time to take time to, you know, help the competitors with their lifting technique and all that. So you're missing out on that throughout like weeks and weeks, where like, yeah, it is boring and repetitive to do your progressions over and over and over, but when you join a class, it forces you to do that, and you get that practice. I think competitors start to get away from that, where it's
yeah, they do. And just like you said, the coaching is, you know, you're still getting coached, which is important, you know, as an athlete. Having people give you feedback, whether it's somebody next to you or just, you know, me or you or Coach Julie, Coach
And I
Katie.
think, Mac, you used to work out by yourself a lot, right? Now
Yeah.
you've done a good job about jumping into class. What's the difference you've noticed in like intensity?
Yeah, with class is good. It's just having other people to push you is nice. Obviously, training with you guys can be good too. But I think it's harder when you're just alone. You don't really have you don't know what pace to go at. You don't know what you should try to be going broken on, what you need to break up. So just going with class just kind of gives you people to they're there, they're doing it. They're also kind of embracing the suck, I guess, and you just kind of keep pushing through it.
I remember it took the longest time just to convince you to work out the boys every now and then. I remember in summer 2017, going into January 2018, I'd always ask you, hey, you gonna do the WOD with us? And you always neglected it for some reason. I love that you're all about it right now, but I just remember those first few years there. It's like, man, we gotta get this guy just hit we forced you a few times.
Yeah.
It's like, we have your barbell ready. We're going in 10 seconds. Get over here. You can do your lifts after.
Yeah.
That was a good memory.
Yeah, I think to continue on that topic of when you should start, like, not to offend people, but it does matter how, like, maybe not how athletic you are, but how, like, your background as well, of how quickly you can pick things up and be able to do that stuff on your own. Because there are people, I mean, if you don't have a background in lifting or like sports, it's going to take you a little bit longer to pick stuff up and be able to do them on your own and be able to take one cue and use it. Whereas maybe in class you can get multiple cues to try different things. So I think if you are thinking about joining competitive programming, it's just independent on yourself and not so much like a set timeline, in my opinion.
I mean, I had done weightlifting before, so it was easy to kind
you have
of.
a good background.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't great at it, but I'd only done it for a couple of years, and I'm still getting better. But I had that background, so if I see like a power clean on there, I don't have to go to somebody and ask, "What's a power clean?" Like I know what it is, I know what to do. You know, which makes it easier to actually get through the amount of volume we do.
Yeah, that was one of the things I always noticed about you as an athlete when you first came on, was you had really sound fundamentals with weightlifting. So it was like, okay, this guy has potential not only to be, you know, a good competitive CrossFitter, but that's when the thought started to enter my mind is, I could maybe bring this guy on as a coach too. And you know, you started coaching for me back, I want to say, was it early 2017 is when I hired you?
Yeah, I think sometime before summer I may have started shadowing. I don't remember, after spring break maybe. You know,
Yeah.
Is Kilo the first gym that you've coached?
coach, yeah,
Cool.
for sure.
How nervous were you to do your first class by yourself?
Very nervous.
I remember that first class. This was back when
Yes.
Cause like,
How old were you? Also, tell the listeners actually how old are you, because when they watch this YouTube video, I'm 50 years old.
I am currently 21. I'm almost 22.
Are you single?
Yeah.
I did think you were like 35 when you first came to the gym.
So did I.
There have been-
I went up to Austin and I asked him. I thought you were older than all the coaches.
There have
I'll
been
never forget
multiple
that.
people
And
I
I-
thought you were 30 something.
Oh yeah, every person I talk to who hears my age is like, what? None of them would ever believe me. It's crazy.
Well, you were a closed book when you started. You started to open up a little bit, but I just remember one of your first classes because you never talked to
You didn't talk at
any-
all.
anyone outside coaching, and all of a sudden, Matt goes full speed,
Oh, yeah.
talking as fast as he can.
You've gotten a lot better
Yeah,
since
Yeah.
then. You used to be the whiteboard dude that would just, in 2 seconds, you've explained a lot. And already gone through the warm up.
The announcements are already rattled off.
Yep.
He was
Yeah.
on a roll.
just flipped complete 180 personality.
It's like firecrackers going off on the 4th of July.
Yeah. He told me I had to be social, so I was like, all right, let's go it on.
Yep.
Going at it.
Yep. You flipped to the other end of the spectrum there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've
I
really
remember-
improved, by the way. I'm not
Thank
gonna-
you.
you're really,
Yeah.
I've been trying.
Definitely
you're a
have.
really good coach.
Try to slow down.
But I remember the first time you coached. And this was before the demo. This was before all of that. And sitting aside from the rapid fire pep talk at the start, you did do a very good job, and that just was like a breath of fresh air. It's like, okay, I'm giving this kid a shot. He's 18 years old. He obviously is interested in coaching. He can do a lot of the stuff CrossFit offers. But once I saw how you showed you cared for our members, how you gave good coaching cues with different athletes, was very cool to see, and to see you grow as a coach too has been awesome. So
Thank you.
We have a lot of college students at Iowa, obviously, and then
Yep.
the Kilo gym up there has you and I, and I think it'd be a good topic to dive into is how do you balance your goals as far as coaching and competitive programming, because you're out, like, it doesn't matter that you're just coaching. Like, college students have to balance a job sometimes, and then if they're trying to just get in, even for a workout, like, you're putting in 2 hours a day. So some kids will tell us they don't have time for 1 hour.
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit. But yeah, so I mean,
Jeez.
I'm a full-time student. After my freshman year, I got a part-time job in a lab too. So doing that and coaching and training. So it was definitely time. It's just kind of like I have my certain set class times. I try to, when I'm setting my schedule, I try to kind of crunch them all together. So I have like space outside of them. But otherwise, it's just kind of like you get your schedule. I'll tell like the lab what times I can work, or I'll leave Austin what times usually. You'll program me or schedule me in, and then I'll go to the lab when I'm not coaching. And then it's just kind of plan it out beginning of the month, I guess. We do it monthly, schedule-wise, and then kind of set aside chunks of time to go train. So like right now, most of my classes are kind of like middle of the day-ish, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I just have one class, so it's easy to kind of like train in the morning, train in the afternoon, and then if I gotta like coach or work, I'll just kind of like I'll work midday, and then coaching is just kind of whenever you program me, and then I'll just train outside of that.
Yeah, so you're prioritizing your goals.
Yeah. So
exactly.
obviously, training's a priority for me, so I just set aside chunks of time where I know I can get everything done in them, and then when that time comes, I just go to the gym and train.
Yeah, I think that's a big lesson, because people will come in and they tell us they don't have time, and it's if you're gonna tell us that your goal is to get fitter in the gym, then you will make that a priority. And if it's not, then that's up to you. But if you're gonna tell us that, then make it a priority rather than just using that as an excuse when time starts to run out. Because like Jenny, we talked about Jenny earlier. She switched from
PM class to morning class.
5:30 p.m. to 5:45 a.m.
Yep.
just to make time because of the discipline and the goal she had.
Yeah, I think a lot of people tend to kind of, I'll go train if I finish my homework, if I finish studying. But for me, it's like I go train and then I study, and then if I have to like stay up a little bit late to study or do homework, that's just kind of what has to happen, if I gotta.
And back when you were a freshman, you were waking up 4:30 in the morning to get to the gym to train and get that done. Yeah. Everyone forgets that they do have some hours in the day at 5 a.m., 6 a.m.
Instead of waking up at 9.
Yeah, it's not easy, but if if it's a goal you have, something you want to achieve, then you have ways to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. So what are some goals you have right now for training?
I don't really have that many goals training wise. I don't actually
Same here.
Good to hear. But yeah, I don't really like competing that much. I enjoy training for the sake of training. My main goal, I want to be better. Obviously, doing competitive programming is kind of getting me better at an accelerated rate. And then outside of that, I think it's important to be healthy. But for me, I just want to see how fit I can be. You know, obviously, like 10, 20 years from now, when I'm older, like I won't have as much potential as now.
So what's your motivation then, other than being fit?
Yeah.
You know, like, why are you putting in 2 hours a day? Because you could be fit doing 1 hour.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy it. It's obviously surrounded by you guys and people at the gym, or by like-minded people who have similar values and stuff. So it's a good environment to be in. But outside of that, I mean, I've been working out for about 8 years now, or 8.5 maybe. I think 8 of that has been like 6 days a week. So I mean, at this point, it's just a habit. Like I just go to the gym and train at some point in the day.
I don't think it's obsessive.
No,
I think you really love it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's a passion of yours. It's
Yeah,
not just a hobby, it's a thing you do, and you make it a part of your life.
Yeah. Pushing the envelope is, I mean, it's what do they call that? Intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
Just like you said, seeing what your body can do, because you know when you're 50, 60 years old, you're not going to have those same abilities. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I think another good topic we should dive into with, as you said, pushing your limits with competitive training is just that. So you've dealt with some injuries, and
Just the field.
yeah, probably maybe due to some of the competitive programming, but I think that when you are trying to compete to be your fittest, absolute fittest, you're riding that fine line between health and fitness. And like, there were times where there's 315 deadlifts in a workout and your max is what, 335?
Yeah.
And you're still doing 315, which
Punishment.
We just had the open workout that was 21-15-9 deadlifts, handstand push-ups, and then 21-15-9 heavier deadlift. And I remember 2018, I was judging Mac in that open workout, and I said, "Hey, so you're gonna be good at the 315 weight? Or are we scaling this?" He's like, "Oh, we'll see." But it is like 95% of my max.
yeah, so that's kind of the difference between competitor and training for health. And when we talk with Jenny, is where you should be pushing your limits when you're training for health in that 1 hour, but not to the point of compromising any sort of technique.
Right.
Whereas competitive fitness, you're riding that line where it's more about speed and your time, which, you know, if that's your goal, then that's up to you. You know, what do you have to say about that, Mac?
Yeah, I think just when you're trying to be like competitive, you're trying to be as fit as possible, as fast as possible. And like, you're being healthy, you can take it slow and really kind of like take time to build up volume and get everything strong and get used to stuff. But you're trying to be competitive and you're trying to get to that level, it's kind of, just kind of have to push it sometimes, and it's definitely not healthy. I wouldn't recommend it if that's not a goal of yours, but if if that's something that you want to do, you have to recognize you have to kind of put in a lot of time, a lot of effort.
Yeah, that's just the sport of it. I mean, you go into any sport, and you can go into any other fitness sport like powerlifting or, you know, competitive running, and like people who are doing these ultra marathons, you hear about that. I mean, they're getting, you know, messed up, you know, 60, 70 miles, 150 miles in, and if you hear, oh, they're on crutches the next, you know, couple of weeks, and it's like, well, yeah, it's not exactly a healthy thing to do, but again, it's you want to see what you can do with yourself. I mean, you have one life to live, and you know, you have that drive and motivation to see, okay, what can McKenzie Wierda do in the sport of CrossFit, and so that's definitely motivating.
Yeah, and you've really improved a lot. I'd say more than what we have in the past 2 years with where you started coming in 2 kilo. You're caving in on all 3 of us in certain work, especially with burpees. I mean, you pass
Oh gosh,
you go with that.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're
short arms.
You're hard working,
Short arms,
training. You're
short limbs.
It's
you're
paid
making
off.
paying off great dividends for you. So keep that up.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is by far, I would just say, are by far the most improved kilo-trained athlete that we've had at Kilo 2 at least. I mean, we've only, you know, been in business now for 3.5 years, but I can easily say that you are definitely the most improved athlete from where you started.
And Do you have any regrets in regard to competitor training? Like we talked about, you've had some injuries. If you want to go into that, like, do you think that was due to maybe going a little bit too heavy, trying to ignore things when you should have maybe not pushed through them? You know, especially like I think if you are,
I know what you're trying to say, like being smart about how to get better.
yeah, because especially if you're not interested in competing, it's probably a better idea to take a step back, fix that issue instead of pushing through. You know, whereas, you know, like in a football game, guy rolls his ankle, tapes it up, goes back in.
Yeah.
So if you're close to like a big competition, maybe that's the time. If that's your goal, you don't want to miss that. You're gonna push through that and then worry about it after. But so what made you push through that instead of
Yes.
taking that
I
step
mean,
back?
obviously, like I'm pretty young. Some was just immaturity, just not knowing, lack of knowledge and stuff. A lot of it too is like I had like a shoulder issue for a while. I really recently got that fixed. It's just kind of been, just kind of having to think like take a step back and get it fixed. But one of the reasons the shoulder at least is just because like I learned butterfly pull-ups in like a couple days. Like I picked up gymnastic skills pretty quick. And then we just had a workout with like 50 pull-ups. And like I've done that with kipping, so I was like, oh, butterfly pull-ups are easier, it'll be fine. And just like jumped in and just had the new motion, wasn't used to, and then just kind of injured that. And it just, you know, at that age, like I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I had to like get used to the actual motion rather than just like, you know,
Jumping
being
up there,
strong
flailing
enough.
around?
Yeah.
That's a good point you brought up. I mean, butterfly pull-ups are definitely a competitive way to complete pull-up reps. And like you said, you didn't really have resiliency with that movement. And so to our listeners, you know, who are dabbling with the idea of, you know, doing competitor programming or just completing workouts as a competitor would, like with the butterfly pull-ups, building strength with those skills before putting it into the test in a workout when you're going for speed is very important.
Yeah, I remember back in 2014, I had the worst bicep tendonitis of my life. Could barely kip for one of the 2014. Could barely kip. Next week we had like 60 toe to bar to do, and I was doing 2 at a time because I couldn't even pull through the bar. It hurt so bad. But
And like you mentioned before, with like a football player rolling his ankle in a football game, you were in the middle of our quote unquote our game time. Like the open workout that's our sport. We were in the game, you were in the game, so you had to push through it then. Whereas when you're in training, whether it's, you know, a couple of weeks out or a couple months out from an event, you can be a little bit smarter with your decision making. Okay, I need to patch this up before I turn the jets on again.
I think, Mac, you made a great point where you were immature. I feel like I was the same way, where it's like I need to do this right now. Whereas like it's easy to say it now because, you know, you have that hindsight bias, but it definitely would have helped a lot to build a better base as far as balancing out unilateral strength, things like that, to avoid injuries. And I think we do get some young people in there that start to try to make the same mistakes we did, and it's hard to convince them because all they're worried about is the present moment instead of worrying about, you know, you have a long training age. You're trying to be able to train until you die.
Absolutely.
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, just think about how much CrossFit has to offer, and when everybody wants to do it at a high level, you know, early on when they get into the sport of it, but, you know, if you can just step back and give yourself time to progress and get strong with everything first and soak up knowledge, like you said, you know, so you can kind of be disciplined and be mature about how you progress, will help you along the way too. Stay injury free, at least give you a lot better odds too.
You're virtually injury free right now, right?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I got some like random stuff, but I think everyone does. Nothing big.
You think main attribute to that is just doing the right things, being a little bit more smart, filling those gaps and weaknesses. Yep.
Yeah, like eating better, make sure you get enough protein. Definitely hadn't been
Recovering better.
Yeah, recovering,
Sleeping.
Sleeping more. Yeah, holy shit, sleeping more.
Prehab is always there for you too. You know, I see you doing a lot of prehab drills, which is important.
Yeah, man, you haven't been. Yeah, last time I talked to you, when you talked about an injury, we're talking almost half a year ago, right?
Wow.
Well,
You almost pulled that hammy spring up
Yeah.
the
Oh,
vest.
I
Oh yeah, right before fall, right?
I had a few pulled hamstrings this year.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
But I think our listeners could definitely take a page out of Jenny's book where she definitely has the right mindset of focusing on herself, because with injuries it's very easy to come into class or go into the gym for competitor training or whatever and see what everyone else is doing and being worried about falling behind. And I know I've struggled with that. I hurt my knee, was it 2017 and 2018. It was very hard to not squat. I still did it. Probably a little too much than what I should have, but it was just hard seeing everyone else squat and you think you're getting past when you're really not. You can always build yourself a better base to end up getting stronger, and you'll come back a lot quicker than you think you will.
Yeah, to talk about squatting, we obviously know my hips are not fantastic. But I remember, like, I think last year at the start of the summer, I kind of took a step back. I was like, all right, I need to fix this, you know. So I kind of took like a month or two where I didn't really squat like at all. I would just kind of like grab like a pull-up bar or the onto the rig, just force my hips down that position, and then kind of once I got used to squatting to depth, you know, which is important for knee health, to kind of re-max, I was down to like 275, and which kind of sucked having to go off that. But you know, it's been like a year and a half-ish now. I back up to 345, which was more than what I could do then.
Ever done,
Yeah, so it's just kind of, even if you're competitive, sometimes you have to take a step back, fix something, and then rebuild it back up.
Yeah, I had terrible knee tendonitis last February, and it took all the way until, it was really July. Well, maybe it was because I didn't really train all summer. I think that had a large, that's mainly the reason why. But I think taking a step back from that training for me led to basically being tendonitis free now. I don't wear knee sleeves or do anything like that anymore. My knee feels great.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's just kind of like taking an off season. I mean, a lot of times, you know, with CrossFit, people are training as if they have their competition, you know, a week later, all year round, and they never give themselves a break just to kind of deload and, you know, reset themselves. I mean, imagine an NFL football player playing games every Sunday all year round. You're just gonna wreck yourself. So resiliency is part of it too. You got to be healthy to be in the competition the following year and the year after that, and the year after that. Otherwise, you know, you're gonna have a really short lifespan as a CrossFit competitor.
Yeah, of course, saying that though, like sometimes there are times you just have to kind of push through it a little bit too, if you want to be competitive.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And understanding injury from soreness.
Yeah.
And not getting those two mixed
Yeah,
up.
I think that's a big difference between competitor and training for health is, you know, there's going to be those days where you are trashed and you still need to get in the gym and get the work done. Whereas maybe, and not just get the work done, but get the intensity in. And especially with what we preach at Kilotrained, you know, it's intensity over anything else with those workouts. Whereas maybe if you're just crushed going into class the next day, just make sure you're moving well. You don't have to hit the weight that you planned on. It's totally fine. Whereas, you know, competitor, you're riding that line a little bit differently.
Yeah. I'd agree. So, where do you see yourself in a year from now? Do you see yourself still training at CrossFit Kilo 2? Where do you see yourself?
And when do you graduate?
So I graduate in December. Excuse me. So I graduate in December, studying computer science. So I'm trying to stay in the area. I'd like to stay at the gym. Obviously, you know, Kilo 2 is one of the best gyms around, as far as I can tell. It's kind of, I've looked like a couple other places for jobs, and it's like it's hard to find good gyms where you can like actually have like open gym time, kind of do your own thing, train stuff. I think so. I'd like to stay here. If I gotta move, I have to do it. I don't think I'll stop training though. Again, like I enjoy doing it. Want to see how fit I can be. So if it's here,
Do you think you'll keep with the competitor programming, or probably narrow it down a little bit?
Probably. It probably depends how kind of stressful the job is, how long it takes me to kind of get comfortable with it. If there's not like a good gym around, if I have to like build my own or do a home gym or something, it may just have to take a while just because I can't do everything. You know, if I don't have a ski rig, I can't ski.
Always do something.
Just right to work.
Yeah.
Which isn't new to you.
No, it's not. I'm not used to that.
So there was a time where you actually lived with me, and
Let's do it.
And I'll say that you were a great tenant, and you definitely, you know, were disciplined, same schedule every single day. What was it like living with the boss? Did that scare you at all when you were living with me?
Not because you're the boss. I mean, a little bit, yeah, for sure. A little scary.
Probably didn't know him that long either, did you?
No.
Or were you more scared of living in the same house as Meredith?
That was definitely like a little bit bigger fear. Like, you're at one level, Meredith was like another step up. But
Yeah, it's her house. You weren't living in my house, you were living there.
yeah, so Meredith's great. But no, it was, a lot of it was just because I never lived on my own before, so that was weird. I was like growing up, you know, I mean, my parents would make me eat like vegetables and stuff, but I didn't really know like.
Because you were coming out of the dorms, right? When you needed a place, and I was like, "Hey, Mac, you know, Meredith and I, we just got a house, and you were before Street, right?"
Yeah, I was just before Street.
Right. Yeah. So I knew we were like, "Oh yeah, we got a couple open bedrooms. Just come live with us, man. It'll be easy. You'll be able to stay in your routine as a coach, as a competitor."
Yeah.
And you know, I thought it was a real good transition for you, looking for your next place from there.
Yeah, it was good.
But there was this one time where I woke up. It was a Sunday.
I remember this.
It was a Sunday, and I get up and I'm, you know, half asleep, walk into my kitchen, and I see my car coming back into the house, and I'm like, what the hell?
Did you
And-
borrow his car?
Mac borrowed the car without asking me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm standing in my kitchen in my underwear, and Mac comes in the garage door.
Oh, did you have like a gun or something out?
No, I didn't. Like, I'm just like, Mac, where the hell were you with my car? It's 8 in the morning on a Sunday.
He actually,
He just kind of casually came in with like 3 different grocery bags. Oh, what time do you got the groceries? And I'm like, all right, man, just ask next time. That'd be good.
Austin walked around the corner in his red robe with some nunchucks.
No, but it was cool. I was like, you know what? I overreacted. Mac obviously wasn't going to do anything bad with my car. He has a bike. He needs a grocery shop. I don't blame him.
Well, I thought it was, I asked you.
No, you
the
didn't.
previous week. I thought it was like assumed. I was like,
Oh,
I could
you know
use
what?
it.
You're right. You did ask me the previous week.
Yeah.
And then you made the assumption, oh, yeah, I can take his car.
Yeah. Well, it's like, is it okay if I use your car to get groceries? She's like, oh yeah, that's fine.
Sunday at 3 a.m.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
on
it's
the
all
face
good.
of the gym that Austin was working on his memory
Right.
would be a little blurry.
Yeah, it was. I was probably under a lot of stress at the time, but no, it was just kind of more funny thinking about it. I just wanted to give you a hard time more than anything because I knew you were going to do anything wrong with my car.
Yeah.
It was just a funny moment.
I didn't realize you were like mad, really. Like a lot.
I really wasn't. I just
Like-
sometimes want to get pissed off just for being pissed off. Just
Yeah, get some stress out.
exactly.
The
Just,
Bears probably weren't doing good.
oh my god. Yeah, well, you know, another missed field goal today. Obviously had my temper up. I forgot about that, Luke, until you. But
Another favorite Mac moment of mine was actually very recently at the Central Regional in the final event where there was a high volume set of ring muscle ups that you could divide between 3
oh
people.
man.
And it was between him and Mason, and they'd switch off, and I remember Mac getting on those rings, and well, Mac, I'll let you say the story, or Austin, because
I remember watching Mac. Well, we were warming up. They were in the heat before us.
I remember specifically looking at Austin. I went and I yelled. I said, "Hey, are you looking at this guy's ring muscle ups?" And I'm pointing. I'm like, "Look at those. He's not getting no rep. This guy's a turkey."
Well, I just remember, I mean, you know how local competitions go, obviously. You have amateur judges and people who are volunteering their time. And, you know, the angle that your judge had on you was, I think she had more of a straight-on look. And you have a short wingspan to begin with.
Yeah.
And I remember watching from a different angle, and I'm like, oh my God, those are the shortest locked out dips I've ever seen in my entire life. And I look down, Micah's just kind of looking at me, he's looking back at you.
And I'm pointing at
he's
you.
pointing, he's freaking out.
Are
He's
you
like, are you
seeing
seeing
this?
this? And I'm like, Micah, cool it. And then I see the judge kind of change angles, and she's like, she comes up to you after you do like you did like 15 in a row. You ripped out a lot of them. And she's like, you need to lock out a little bit more.
Like, okay.
Pressing straight backwards.
So for a while there at the gym, we were definitely,
Oh yeah.
hey,
We're
Mac,
not letting it go for a little while.
lock out your dips, buddy.
I practiced. I was there the next day. I
Oh,
didn't
you were. Now they're good. Now they're good.
Yeah, hopefully.
Sometimes you can't always
Having them all.
feel it out. No.
Yeah. she didn't say anything. She was just like, "You're good," so I kept going.
And that's what
What you
any
gonna
smart
do?
competitor would do.
Yeah,
Are
keep
you
going.
sure, Judge? This is a good break. Are you sure about it?
You say so.
I mean, you did that with me Friday with my deadlifts, so you just keep going with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've taken some
You lost that goal. Yeah, we got
Taking
we got to
some-
clean up some movement here between you two, but
Yeah.
it's all right.
The deadlifts were fine.
It's all right. It's because Mac was judging you.
Yeah. I mean, you were signed up for the Open. I give you some leeway.
You don't need to do that.
All right. On that note, I think we'll close up episode 3. Mac, you're a great guest. Hope you had fun.
Yeah,
Good.
thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming on, Mac.
Make sure you share the episode if you enjoyed it. Check out episodes 1 and 2. You can follow us on Kilotrained _podcast on Instagram, and also we have CrossFit Kilo 2 and CrossFit Kilo on Instagram too.
And on YouTube,
Yes.
go hit subscribe. You can type in Kilotrained podcast episode 1, 2, and number 3 will be up soon.
Yep, and then it's under Micah's YouTube. All right, thanks.